The operations room in Zaporizhzhia hummed with tension as dawn approached on September 29, 2025. On multiple screens, the night's work was unfolding in real time, a coordinated symphony of destruction that would reshape the strategic landscape of the war in a single day. At precisely 3:10 a.m., a Ukrainian Bayraktar TB2 reconnaissance drone locked onto two distinct heat signatures deep inside Crimean territory. Two Russian MI-8 AMT helicopters, each valued at around $16 million, had just touched down at a strategic airbase on the peninsula after transporting over 60 troops from the front lines. In the underground command center, sensor crews fell silent. This wasn't just about two helicopters. The thermal imagery revealed something far more valuable. Behind the landing aircraft sat two BE-12 maritime reconnaissance planes, a NEBO-U early warning radar installation, and storage facilities containing over 1.1 million pounds of aviation fuel and ammunition. Senior analyst Valery Romanenko studied the infrared feeds carefully. "This is it," he said quietly, "one of their critical nodes. If we take this down, we open a 90-kilometer blind spot in their southern defense network." On the ramp below, unaware Russian officers shed their flight suits, poured vodka, and toasted a successful mission. They had no idea their routine landing had just painted a target on the entire base. By 3:20 a.m., the strike plan was approved. The Ghost Special Task Unit would execute a 3-layered assault using 5 drones, 2 unarmed UJ-22 decoys to draw fire, followed by 3 Lyut-Yi 96 attack drones carrying 165-pound shaped charge warheads. "This is what we've been building toward," Commander Robert Maguhar-Bravi told his team. "Not just destroying hardware, but dismantling their entire operational capability. Every radar we kill, every supply line we cut, it all connects. Today, we prove the concept works at scale." The drone formation approached from the southeast, flying low and silent. At 3:27 a.m., the 2 UJ-22 decoys deliberately entered the air defense zone, broadcasting strong signals designed to look like incoming kamikaze drones. The reaction was immediate. Russian Podlet K-1 radar stations detected the contacts. NEBO-U switched to high-speed scanning. A Pantsir S-1 battery fired 257 E-6 interceptor rounds at once. 14 seconds later, both decoys exploded in brilliant fireballs. On Russian screens, the threat appeared neutralized. Air defense crews began standing down, radar sweeps slowing to routine patterns. However, none of them saw the 3 Lyut-Yi 96 attack drones skimming below 330 feet, exploiting a brief gap in coverage as the systems recalibrated. This was the same radar evasion technique that had allowed Ukrainian drones to reach Moscow and Kazan, threading through the narrow nulls between overlapping radar arcs. Decoys destroyed, main strike package entering terminal corridor, a technician reported in Zaporizhzhia. All 3 units have locked targets. The attack drones split into their final approach vectors. Lyut-Yi-1 pulled up to 600 feet, targeting the MI-8 cluster on the western ramp. Lyut-Yi-2 banked left toward the NEBO-U radar antenna. Lyut-Yi-3 lined up on the 2 BE-12 reconnaissance aircraft parked near the fuel depot. At 3:33, a Russian radar operator noticed a faint low-altitude return. Contact, ultra-low, accelerating. The warning came too late. At 3:35, Lyut-Yi-1 struck the first Mi-8's engine bay. The shaped charge detonated with a white flash, triggering a massive secondary explosion as fuel drums cooked off. The fireball climbed over 330 feet into the sky. Both helicopters disintegrated, rotor blades hurled like shrapnel, one refueling truck blown clear across the ramp. 0.8 seconds later, Lyut-Yi-3 tore through the right side BE-12. The impact punctured auxiliary fuel bunkers, igniting both reconnaissance aircraft in a chain reaction. Flames spread into maintenance bays filled with tools, parts, and more fuel. The concussion wave shattered windows nearly 2,000 feet away. 7 secondary explosions erupted as the fires reached ammunition stores. The base's UHF net transmitted one final message: base under attack, radar damaged, aircraft damaged, requesting immediate assistance. Then silence. Commercial infrared satellites logged a thermal signature exceeding 350 meters in western Crimea. In Zaporizhzhia, Analysts compiled the results. 3 Mi-8 helicopters were destroyed, 2 BE-12 reconnaissance aircraft destroyed, Nebo-U early warning radar completely disabled, primary fuel depot consumed, ammunition storage detonated. Estimated damage, $180 million. They've lost everything, Romanenko said, studying the satellite imagery. No helicopter lift, no maritime reconnaissance, no early warning coverage for 90 kilometers. And more importantly, we've just proven we can identify, target, and destroy their strategic nodes with precision. But the day's work was far from over. As smoke still rose from the Crimean base, another Mi-8 was lifting off from a forward position near Pokrovsk, unaware that Ukrainian surveillance had been tracking it for hours. The 59th Brigade of Ukraine's Unmanned Systems Forces have positioned strike drones along known flight corridors, waiting for exactly this opportunity. The helicopter was transporting equipment to resupply Russian units that were, unknown to Moscow, already being encircled. At 7:47 a.m., the drone struck. The explosion was captured on video and immediately uploaded to Telegram. Another $1 million helicopter, another broken supply line, another small piece removed from Russia's operational capability. Commander Bravi confirmed the kill from the same operations center that had coordinated the Crimean strike hours earlier. 4 helicopters in one day, he said. But it's not about the numbers. It's about what those helicopters represent, their ability to move troops, supplies, and equipment. Every one we destroy degrades their logistics a little more. As morning light spread across the front lines, Ukrainian military intelligence was connecting the dots from the night's operations. The data flowed from multiple sources: commercial satellite imagery from Maxar, signals intelligence, drone reconnaissance, and reports from ground units. What emerged was a comprehensive picture of Russian vulnerabilities and a glimpse of how future operations could be conducted. This is exactly why we're establishing the Space Forces, Romanenko explained to a secure briefing of senior commanders. What we did last night required coordination between satellite detection, drone operations, real-time intelligence, and strike execution. We pulled it together for this mission, but we need a permanent structure to do this systematically. The briefing documents outlined the plan. By December 31st, Ukraine would stand up a dedicated military branch responsible for space-based operations. Not weapons in orbit, but the invisible infrastructure of modern warfare. Satellite intelligence coordination, early warning systems, navigation support, and communications networks. The Americans get 90% of their intelligence from about 250 reconnaissance satellites, all processed through a single unified structure, Romanenko continued. We're operating with a patchwork, data from allied nations, commercial imagery, our own limited assets. The Ghost Strike proved what we can do when everything connects. Now we need to make that the norm, not the exception. The strategic logic was undeniable. The Crimean strike had exploited satellite-detected heat signatures, coordinated multiple drone elements through GPS-independent navigation, and confirmed results through space-based imagery. The entire kill chain, from detection to strike to assessment, relied on space assets. And with the Nebo-U radar destroyed, Ukraine had created a 90-kilometer gap in Crimea's air defense network that could be exploited for follow-on operations. By early afternoon, Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky was briefing government officials on the day's operations and their strategic implications. What you're seeing today is the integration of multiple capabilities into a coherent operational approach, he explained. The Crimean strike destroyed a strategic logistics node and created a gap in their air defense network. The follow-on helicopter strike further degraded their tactical mobility, and the pressure on their encircled units at Pokrovsk is preventing them from conducting the offensive operations they had planned. He pulled up a map showing the interconnections. This airbase in Crimea was supporting their operations across the entire southern sector. Cargo flights, troop movements, maritime reconnaissance, all of it ran through there. Now it's gone. The supply chain is broken, and the units that were supposed to be advancing are instead trapped and fighting for survival. They're trying to adapt, Syrsky continued, but every adjustment they make creates new vulnerabilities we can exploit. They move air defense assets to protect one area, we strike somewhere else. They try to resupply by road, we track and destroy the convoys. They attempt helicopter insertion, we shoot them down. As night fell on September 29th, the operation room in Zaporizhzhia remained active. Analysts were already planning follow-on strikes to exploit the 90-kilometer radar gap in Crimea. Intelligence teams were tracking Russian attempts to reinforce the Pokrovsk sector. Drone operators were positioning assets for the next morning's operations. Valery Romanenko sat in a quiet corner, reviewing the day's data. 18 hours earlier, he had watched 2 Mi-8 helicopters land in Crimea and recognized the opportunity. Now, 4 helicopters were destroyed, a major airbase was burning, a critical radar installation was offline, and Russian forces were trapped in multiple cauldrons with no clear path to relief. "This is what modern warfare looks like," he said to a junior analyst. "It's not about massive tank battles or artillery duels, though those still matter. It's about information dominance translated into precision strikes. We saw their helicopters land because we have satellite coverage. We hit their base because we had the intelligence, the planning, and the weapons to exploit the opportunity. We're encircling their forces because we can track their movements and interdict their supplies." He pulled up the plans for the Space Forces on his screen, and by the end of the year, we'll have a permanent structure to do this systematically. Not as a one-off operation, but a standard procedure. That's when this really becomes a force multiplier. As September 29th transitioned into September 30th, the front lines remained active. Along the northern Slobozhzhia and Kursk directions, Ukrainian forces repelled renewed attacks. Near Pokrovsk, encircled Russian units made desperate attempts to break out. In Crimea, fire still burned at the destroyed airbase. But the strategic picture had shifted. In a single day, through coordinated operations spanning multiple domains, Ukraine had demonstrated that timing and tactics could outweigh expensive hardware, that satellite intelligence could enable devastating strikes, that systematic pressure across multiple sectors could prevent an opponent from concentrating forces for decisive action. The cost? 5 drones, several missiles, and the operational expense of coordinating the strikes. The effect? 4 helicopters destroyed, $180 million in damage to a strategic airbase, a 90-kilometer gap in air defense coverage, degraded logistics across the entire southern sector, and Russian forces trapped in multiple encirclements with no clear path to relief. This was the new reality of warfare, invisible until the moment of impact, devastating in its precision, relentless in its logic. And somewhere over Crimea, over Pokrovsk, over the contested territories of the Eastern Front, Ukrainian drones continued their silent patrol, waiting for the next heat signature, the next opportunity, the next target. A hunt that might never stop. If you enjoyed this video and would love to do a deep dive into videos like this, check out our video, Ukrainian Missile Annihilates Russia's Air Fortress. Then this happened. Link in the description below.